And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the unceded and traditional territory of the Tsimshian people. Senior centers promote health by providing health and support services, encouraging active and healthy aging, and by fostering a social environment that is conducive to social participation and well-being. On today's Open Connection, President of the Skeena Valley Seniors, Diane Penner.
I started working with my mom when she retired. She was up at the Happy Gang volunteering, and I started helping with her at the Happy Gang while she was doing stuff. Anytime they were short, it was like, Diane, can you, sure, Mom, no problem. And just kept dabbling in and out, and we would sing a little bit, we'd jump around a little bit, goof around. They thought that was pretty cool when we would do that. Me and a couple of friends, and help out when they needed an extra hand. Then they were struggling with their pancake breakfast. I started taking over with pancake breakfast and did that for the last 8 years or so, 10 years, something like that. And in the meantime, my mom retired from that and has now since passed away. Kind of didn't have too much to do with the Happy Gang after that, actually, and with the seniors things, until after COVID we had heard that the Happy Gang was experiencing a little bit of difficulty. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to move forward because of the way that things were moving with the whole COVID picture. They were considering leasing the facility out, and I was over there helping with the vaccine clinics one day, and one of the members said, how come you haven't come back? You used to always be involved. And I was like, well, yeah, I could, yeah. They said they're looking for somebody in the kitchen. Why don't you come back in the kitchen? You did all that pancake breakfast stuff. And I thought, yeah, I could do that. So I said, put me on the agenda for the board, and we'll see if I can help. So I went to a board meeting before they opened up, and I said, I hear that you're thinking of leasing the facility because you can't get volunteers or something like that. And they said, yeah, it's been a bit of a problem. Their stream of volunteers had already been serving for about 20 years. They had a very strong group that had started like at 65, and now a lot of them were 85, and they were kind of like tired. And COVID was a good excuse to just stop your routine, and they didn't want to come back, which made sense. So here I am. I'm 65 at that point, and I was like, oh, that's when I could do that too. If they could do it for 20 years, what the heck, right? So I thought, well, sure. I'm pretty sure I can rustle up a bunch of volunteers. So I asked the board if they would give me the weekend to see what I could come up with before they made any decision about this leasing thing. And I got affirmation as I left the room that I should go ahead and do that and let them know. So 2 days later, I gave them a list of people that were all happy to come on board and join for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then potentially Saturday pancake breakfasts. And so they said, okay, well, let's give that a shot then. And we decided to go forward with just like a soup and a bun. Doors were just opening for COVID, so back in November of last year. And we had a full slot of people by Christmas, and then we shut down everything for Christmas. Then there was a little upswing for COVID for January, so we decided to shut down for January. Came back full board in February, and then we had a full menu. So at that point, everybody was eager to get back. I had more people that wanted to come and help. So we had a full slate for pretty much every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and with full slate for Saturday's pancake breakfast. And we just were going like a banshee, basically.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thanks for staying with us. A recent survey on the benefits of a senior center revealed 90% of the participants indicated that the activities contributed to their emotional well-being, and 85% reported that activities helped them to relieve stress. Let us return the conversation with Diane Penner.
And we had some wonderful things happening in there, because in the meantime, a few people who were my age have retired from restaurateuring and such. And they decided that they should bring in, you know, some of their favorite soups and favorite, you know, whatevers. And so they started experimenting. So we had that experimentation going on, and this sort of like just whatever, anything went. Let's just see how it goes, you know, kind of thing. It was going pretty good. So then come June, they did a renovation at the Happy Gang, and they shut down over the summer. In the meantime, we were bringing forward some ideas about interacting with the community a little bit more. Typically, Happy Gang has been more about serving lunches, having, you know, playing bingo, whist, you know, games, things that are very specific to seniors coming to the center. It hasn't been a lot of reaching out at that point. So at this point, I'm the vice president on the board, and so we were bringing forward some needs that we were starting to hear from the community. A few things like, you know, what happened to the Meals on Wheels program? You know, where's that going? So we ended up having a meeting, for example, with Northern Health. And they asked us, could the Happy Gang bunch bring on, you know, take over Meals on Wheels for us and create something that would actually be palatable for seniors, because they were getting things in aluminum containers that were frozen that you couldn't put in the microwave, or it would, like, you know, fry your microwave up or something like that, or cause you to go blind or something. So they were like, you know, we're not doing this job very well, and so a lot of people have not signed, they've not continued to sign on, and now we really know that we have people that need it, but nobody wants it because it's not working for them. So they said, you know, would your kitchen crew be willing to, you know, work in that regard, help us to create something better? So we're actually meeting with them at the beginning of the month to continue that forward. But unfortunately, it seemed at that time that the feeling of the board was a little bit different than the feeling of the way that so many of the kitchen crew had a different idea of things compared to the way that the Happy Gang board at that time was wanting to move in the direction of. So we have since recognized that seems to be a place for the Happy Gang to serve, but there seems to be another need in the community that hasn't quite been addressed. And at this stage, the Happy Gang isn't really able in some respects to do it. One reason is their parking. The limited parking there, so that causes a problem for access for an awful lot of the community. So recognizing that, some of us have decided that it makes sense to perhaps have a group that are looking towards advocating for the needs in the community that are aside from what the Happy Gang has been doing since the early 60s, really, and that is to deal with, you know, the people who are more mobile, the businesses in the neighborhood who can support, you know, creating that opportunity for people to come together, but people who are more agile. So we have this whole group of the community that is not agile as well. We want to blend all of that together, and so we created another society, so another seniors group that can focus on that. So, and that seniors group is the Skeena Valley Senior Society. It's just newly formed. So what are we now? We're in the late end of October. We started coming together mid-September. So we're almost 6 weeks old now. Having said that, many of the kitchen crew that were at the Happy Gang have joined into this aspect of things because they want to move in the direction of something that helps the people who are the most vulnerable. So those seniors that are out there that are still, you know, dickety-doo-dying, doing what they can every day without any problems, they don't really need a lot of help, you know. So you can go golfing, you can go traveling, you can do stuff, you can go for lunch with your friends at the Happy Gang, you can go play crib, pool, you know, that sort of stuff. That's all fine. But there's all these people who don't have that ability, either financially or because of mobility issues or because of language issues or because of, you know, experiences in the community that have not been, you know, whatever. There's so many different factors. And so it seems as if somebody needs to be advocating for them. And I mean, we know that Volunteer Terrace, for example, does an awful lot of work with seniors, and that they have like a very active bunch of programs that works in the homes with seniors. We know that Hospice does an awful lot of work with seniors. We know that Kasan does an awful lot of work with seniors. We know that Kermode does an awful lot of work with seniors. But a lot of us are working in our own little bubble, so to speak. And even though there's some efforts from all those agencies to work together, they're so busy doing what they're doing that they can't even get, I think they have. I believe they used to have inter-service social service meetings and stuff. I don't know how. I'm not in that. I can't speak to that at this stage. But I know that they're so busy that it's difficult for them to coordinate things that maybe they're overlapping on, or maybe they're.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. Senior centers exist to help aging adults enjoy the company of their peers and participate in activities that are healthy and fun. Let us return to the conversation as Diane shares some of the background of the Skeena Valley Senior Center Society board members.
Recognizing that there's all these rich pools of resources in our communities. I mean, on my board, my youngest person right now is 34. My oldest is 100, turning next week. There's going to be a party for her at the Happy Gang. So, and I may actually in the next week or so have a 101-year-old joining us as well. So we're kind of like we want to be an example of the diversity that we have here. So we want to include all those different groups. Skeena Diversity is part of that, like the way that they do stuff as well, like just merging us all together. And it seems like the opportunity to be a society that will actually hook into all of those and then advocate, like bring those pieces a little bit more together. That's the direction that the people who are signing on to our group are wanting to go. So our mission statement is collaborating with the community to support and enhance seniors and elders' lives. So if we can do that effectively in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, however long it takes, maybe it takes a lifetime, then I think then we've accomplished something. So the BC Old Age Pensioners branch, Terrace Branch 73, is what the Happy Gang used to operate under. They disavowed from them in 2018. But that was a group that my mom was involved with for many years, and my 100-year-old board member went to 6 conferences there, to bring back, the ideas from the North to the South to advocate, through policies and all that sort of stuff. And when we were thinking, okay, we have like 2 different groups here that have a different agenda going on, but I think we lost the BC Old Age Pensioners. That's probably not good that we did that. We should try and connect that. So we called the head office down in Nanaimo right now, and we said, is there any possibility that we can recoup that history that we had before, when we were back in 1950. Terrace was one of the founding members of the BC Old Age Pensioners back in 1958. So on the 60th year that they were celebrating 60 years with them, the Happy Gang decided to disavow and become the Terrace Old Age Association, Pensioners Association. So that was another side, I guess, where we had some differences in thoughts. We believe that we should be part of a provincial body that speaks on behalf of seniors. When they started that back in 1958, and throughout that time when my mom was connected, I remember Eileen Frank was the Terrace senior advocate, and she was that for almost 20 years. So she was a community member who was an actual advocate in our community. We don't have that anymore in our governing body, Now we have one seniors advocate in BC, Isabel, and she speaks for everybody. How can she represent all these regions effectively? So we've lost that, we've lost that in the process. We want to get things like that back. We want to get that local representation back. We don't want to only deal with, travel for seniors, accessibility for seniors. We want to recognize that we all have different voices and that we have different challenges in our communities. So somehow or other, that piece of the puzzle was really important to many of us who formed this new society. And so the president of the BC Old Age Pensioners did a pool with his board, and they've unanimously agreed that we can resume the charter as it was, our aspect of the charter. So we now are back to Terrace Branch 73. We have the same name, we have the same history, so we're able to take back all that information, and now we can build on that in our society. So even though we're only 6 weeks old, we bring history now from 64 years of connections with Terrace and fighting for this, that, and the other thing. So we're now trying to get all that paperwork gathered together so we can dig through that to see whether there's things in there that maybe little gems that we can still do something with, or that we can use just to give us some strength. We did a little bit of work with a brainstorming session just in the last week, where we merged a whole bunch of community members together at a panel, and they said to whoever wanted to attend, look, this is what we offer. We do this for seniors, and we do that for seniors, and so that was a great opportunity as well to see that, and that knit together some other things. So now we're hoping to meet with this week or next week with a few people who have been working diligently towards a housing project 7 years now, which has been called Eliza's Village. I don't know exactly where we will fit into that conversation, but I'm hoping that as our partnerships continue to grow, we will become more and more effective as a representative of the seniors in our community.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Picture yourself in retirement. Who will you be spending it with? Will you be devoting time to your favorite not-for-profit with your best friend? In this final segment of Open Connection, Diane shares how many retired people you may meet walking down the street.
1 out of every 9 walking down the street is a retired person. If you think about that, that's actually pretty, if I did the math right, that's pretty mind-boggling. And out of that 1 out of every 9, probably a half of them actually have an issue that is not being addressed effectively in our community. And that's a pretty staggering number, I think. And a lot of those people we don't see walking around because of that, unfortunately. They're, hidden behind doors. That doesn't sit right with me. So I remember thinking, when we had an issue with food back in the day, food was just food, but where we are today, food has become, a menu. Now we go to someplace, we don't just have, something that we can forage from the ground. We have a gourmet set before us. When we were, cold and we decided that we needed to put clothes on, that was fine. So we put on whatever was around us at that time, a palm branch or whatever, a coat from an animal, a pelt. But look what that's turned into. That's turned into fashion. Now all of a sudden, I'm wearing orange, you're wearing blue. We got a t-shirt, you got jeans, I got stretch pants. What the heck? It's not just a pelt anymore. So we're creative in our thinking. We can do so much. So why do we have to have people who have spent their entire life working towards retirement, working toward, they've contributed to our country, they've contributed to our society, to our town, to our families, and now so many of them are just sitting there, watching a TV set, maybe, visiting with a friend, maybe with a family member, but their life has become so small compared to how it was before, when they were contributing. We want to have these people with all their knowledge contributing to our young people more than they are. We want them to educate them. We want them to be the teachers in our communities. We want them to be active contributors. We don't want people who can't come out of their house because they don't have enough money, because they might have an incontinence issue, because they're worried if they sneeze that now they might wet their pants, because honestly that happens, and it happens a lot. I can say that. I'm 65 and it happened to me when I was 50 jumping on a trampoline, So it's part of growing up. Women have born children, things don't work the same as they did when they were, as they get older. So, but those little details, something like that keeps somebody from interacting, and it shouldn't, but it does. So this group, the Skeena Valley Senior Society, is looking towards ways to mitigate those problems, ways to improve the lives and enhance the lives of the people, our neighbors, our shut-ins, there are just so many rich minds out there that are. There's a few people I can think of that are in Terrace View right now that I can't even get. I think they might have changed the rules yesterday, but as of last week, I couldn't even go in and have a visit with them because I have to be, only certain people can come in because of their concern for health, and I understand that. But COVID has really caused us almost to become so fearful that we are causing us to become lost in our fear, not able to interact. And there's a gentleman up there who is also close to 100, whose mind is as clear as a bell, who, he should be our storyteller in the community, and he's not the only one. There are many people like that, So I don't know, it's a really complicated issue, this issue of growing older in a community. But I'd like to think that this society is doing its best to try to help bring dignity and love back into aging. So for those people who have lost families and are on their own, that there can be an organization that can become their family, that we can find for every one of them something of value to do that actually adds value to our community. So I feel very honored at this time to be the president of this association, to be able to walk with these other people who have this vision, and to see where we're going to grow from that. So today, Volunteer Terrace offered us their address so that we can have a mailing address, because right now we have no facility. Not that we need that. I have a wonderful secretary who has put together a wonderful website. So we have a website, so SkeenaValleySeniors.org. www.SkeenaValleySeniors.org. It comes up. We only have one page right now, but it's growing, and that we're hoping that will become something that we can use to tie in all these other service agencies. We have a vision of being able to be part of this housing thing and to help make that move forward. We have an email address, info@SkeenaValleySeniors.org. So we're trying to keep it simple because I can't remember anything half the time. So I don't know where we're going to go down this road, but I'm really hoping that it's going to be a wonderful thing for our community, and I'm hoping that this organization will grow. And I would love to see the 2,000 seniors and plus that are retired all a part of this organization. We should. It's our voice, right? So right now we're charging $10 for membership. It's $8 for a fee to the BC Old Age pensioners, and $2 goes into the kitty because we don't want to deal with change right now, and we don't have any money anyway. So, So that's where we are. That's our situation today. I don't know where we're going to go.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.